Hello everyone, welcome back to another session of concept learning with MathBuddy. In this session we are going to be looking at prime and composite numbers. So in a prior session we have learnt about factors and we used this instrument called thin square tiles. So we're going to do the same thing again. So we are going to use thin square tiles. So you know thin square tiles has various colored tiles, right? And we use this along with hundreds board. Okay, so let's say that we take a number like 6, and when we did factors, if you remember, we arranged the 6 tiles to see if we can form rectangles with these 6 tiles, right? So let's take 6 tiles first. Okay, now what are the different ways we could arrange the tiles in the form of a rectangle? We could arrange it in one row of 6 tiles, which was a straight line, right? And then we could arrange the 6 tiles this way again, right? So this was another way of arranging 6 tiles. And then we had 2 more ways. So we could arrange it in 2 rows of 3 tiles, right? So we could form a rectangle, and then we could arrange it in 3 rows of 2 tiles. So these were the different ways by which we could arrange 6 tiles, right? Now let's, instead of the number 6, let's take the number 5, right? So let's give away one of the tiles, right? Now I have only 5 tiles. How many different ways can I form a rectangle with this? So one way is basically I can arrange it in a straight line, right? Or I can arrange it the other way. Is there any other way I can form a rectangle? If I try to arrange it in 2 rows, it leaves a remainder of 1, right? If I try to arrange it in 3 rows, again I have a remainder of 1. If I try to arrange it in 4 rows, again I have a remainder, right? So the only way I can arrange 5 tiles is in the form of a straight line, either this way or in the vertical direction, right? So what are the factors of this number? So since we are able to arrange it in one row, we can say that the factors of the number 5 are 1 and 5 or 5 and 1. There is no other factor for this number, and we are not able to arrange this number in the form of a rectangle. Such numbers are called prime numbers. Prime numbers are those numbers where the factors of that number are the number itself and the number 1. There is no other factor for this number, right? So let's take one more prime number. Let's say I want to take the number 7, right? Is there any other rectangular arrangement that I can get for the number 7? If I try to arrange it in 2 rows, I will have a remainder. 3 rows, again I will have a remainder. 4 rows will also give you a remainder and all that, right? So the only way you can arrange 7 is again in a straight line, which means that the factors are 1 and 7 itself, right? Again, such numbers are called prime numbers. When we are able to arrange a number in the form of a rectangle, the numbers are called composite numbers. So if you take a number like 8, right? So one way I can arrange 8 tiles, and the other way I can arrange it in 2 rows of 4 tiles, right? So I'm able to arrange it in the form of a rectangle. Such numbers are called composite numbers, and composite numbers have more than 2 factors. The default, all the numbers by default have 2 factors, which is 1 and the number itself. And composite numbers will have more than those 2 factors. So in this case, for example, 8 has 1 and 8 as factors. And then it also has 2 and 4 as factors, right? So it's got 4 factors. Whereas when we looked at a number 7, it had only 1 and 7 as factors. There is no other factor. So 7 is a prime number and 8 is a composite number, right? So by doing this kind of an activity, you can identify any prime number, right? If you are not able to find a fact. So what do we mean when we say that we are able to form a rectangle? We are able to find 2 numbers which when multiplied will give you that number, right? So for example, I can get the number 8 by multiplying 2 and 4, but there is no way we can get the number 7 other than multiplying 1 and 7. There is no other combination of numbers which when multiplied will give you the number 7. So that's why it's called a prime number, right? And then any number which has certain numbers that has more than 2 factors, they are called composite numbers. Okay. What about the number 2? So let's try the number 2. So we have 2 tiles. The only way I can arrange this is in a straight line like this or like this. Again, 2 is a prime number. How about the number 3? So if you arrange 3 tiles, again, this is one way of arranging it, or I can arrange it in this way, right? So again, 3 is a prime number. What about the number 1? That's a very special number, right? So if you take the number 1, so the only way I can arrange this is the number 1 and in one row of one tile, right? So actually got only one factor. So even a prime number has got 2 factors, and composite numbers have more than 2 factors. But a number 1 has only one factor, right? So this number 1 is a very special number, and we do not include it in either prime numbers or composite numbers. So we call the number 1 as neither composite nor prime. Okay. So I hope you all enjoyed this activity. You can try out a lot more numbers and see if a number is prime or composite by seeing if you are able to arrange it in the form of a rectangle. So I hope you enjoyed this activity. If you have any questions, write to us at support@mathbuddyonline.com. Thank you.